we're here on Main Street in Grable, and as you can see, still a very, very active scene. This was the town's old grain mill, but firefighters tell me it was being used for lumberyard storage at the time. We're here at the Allen County Prosecutor's Office, where that press conference just wrapped up in this room a few minutes ago. Here's what we can tell you so far. All charges against Charles Benson have been dropped. That all clear given around 8:40, just about 2 hours ago. With more than 40 tickets issued in less than 6 months, the DeKalb County Prosecutor's Office says the trains blocking traffic isn't just a nuisance, but poses a threat to public safety. It's been a very exciting day here at General Motors. Hundreds of GM employees, GM executives, state and city leaders sat side by side today as they celebrated that news. Company officials tell me this expansion will increase the plant's efficiency and make it competitive for years to come. To put that into perspective, we've taped down a 10-foot by 10-foot square here in the Memorial Coliseum. That means 1,000 of the original sale could fit in today's space. The old law required you to come to a winery in person before you were able to ship wine to your home. With the new law, you'll just have to prove your identity electronically.
The news comes the day before that suspect, Charles Benson, was set to go to trial in the murder of John Holman. That shooting happened last September on EB Avenue. Holman died after dozens of shots were fired into his van. News Channel 15's Sarah Wagner talked to the prosecutor's office this afternoon and joins us now with the very latest. Sarah?
It's been 8 months since that very violent night here on EB Avenue. The prosecutor told me today this is a devastating conclusion to a very high-profile case. Surveillance video captured the shooting, but the prosecutor says that video isn't clear enough to determine an identity.
You can't discern race, sex, age, facial features. They have a hoodie on. You know, that video doesn't tell us anything.
Police arrested Charles Benson and Marcus Lindsay the morning after the shooting, thanks to key witness Drayden Troyer. But Troyer died after he was hit by a train in March. The coroner ruled his death an accident, and the prosecutor said today there is no reason to believe otherwise. Since Troyer can't testify, the prosecutor says there is simply not enough evidence to convict Benson.
You know, in a criminal case, you have to be able to prove your charges beyond a reasonable doubt, and we could not do that at this point.
Court documents also reveal a third suspect, but the prosecutor can't say what his role is in the case. As for the other suspect, Marcus Lindsay.
It got to the point, though, where we were not going to use Lindsay at all. He sort of became damaged goods.
He pleaded guilty in January and is serving a 4-year sentence. The prosecutor's office says it waited as long as possible to drop the charges.
We interviewed every witness, every lead that we got that could be followed up on, and none of them were fruitful.
It's an outcome the prosecutor's office says it never expected.
It's very frustrating. It's devastating. In prosecuting homicide cases for, geez, damn near 20 years now, I've never had to make that call. So it's just something you don't want to have to do, but you have to.
Charles Benson was released from the Allen County Jail early this morning. The prosecutor's office also says it hopes it will be able to refile charges in the future if more evidence becomes available. Reporting live from EB Avenue, Sarah Wagner, News Channel 15.
Well, you may not think of a haircut when you think of your health, but local barbershops think differently. 10 Fort Wayne shops participated in the Indiana Black Barbershop Health Initiative today. As News Channel 15's Sarah Wagner explains, it provides free screenings to raise health awareness.
Recent data from the State Health Department shows African American men have the highest mortality rate of any group in Indiana. Barbers I talked to today say the conversation about health can all start with the right cut.
Well, the barbershop is the cornerstone of the communities. We deal with a lot of issues, and today it's about health.
Step inside King's Barbershop on Pontiac Street.
You want a mohawk?
And you'll find something's abuzz.
Everything is running smooth. It's a success.
Clients are coming in for more than just the perfect cut.
Sometimes we are statistics because of the fact that we don't keep up with our health. A lot of times, you know, they'll go to the barbershop before they'll go to the doctor, and then they'll tell me about what's going on.
Volunteer nurses offered screenings for diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol, and information on colon cancer and HIV/AIDS. It's advice Bruce Shoemate didn't expect to find at the barbershop.
People aren't really, aware of health, are maybe not looking at it like they should, i.e. me, myself.
The 63-year-old came in for a haircut
I got a bad hair day, you know.
and walked out with a lot more.
They checked my sugar, they checked my blood pressure. We talked about colonoscopies.
Across town at Agape Cuts, Chad Williams
Barber, master barber.
is also happy to help out.
People's guard is more down at the barber shop.
Williams says around 25 people got screened at his shop today, a number he's glad has grown every year.
It actually feels good to bring a platform, something like that, that will could save somebody's life. I'm happy to be a part of something like that.
Today's Haircuts for Health didn't just happen in Fort Wayne. More than 50 shops, 200 barbers, and 15 cities participated in the initiative. In Studio 15, Sarah Wagner, News Channel 15.
When it comes to alcohol regulations, Indiana has some of the strictest policies. After all, it's the only state in the country to still ban Sunday sales. Well, a new law is loosening up some of those rules, though. News Channel 15 Sarah Wagner has more from Studio 15.
Thanks to Senate Bill 113, you can now get wine shipped to your home without having to visit the winery first. I talked to several local wineries about the new law. They say they're thrilled and call it a step in the right direction for Indiana.
It does open up a whole new world.
Jeremy Luter owns Country Heritage in Layotto. He says the old law could be a hassle at times.
People's even been here before in the past. If they're interested in us shipping now, they'd have to come up and revisit to sign this piece of paper.
The old law required you to come to a winery in person before you were able to ship wine to your home. With the new law, you'll just have to prove your identity electronically.
Every winery will be the same throughout the state, so whatever laws apply to them will also apply to us.
Exactly how you will prove your identity and age is yet to be determined. Lawmakers and the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission are still working out some details.
The real benefit of it is people that have never been here, that want to try it, that don't want to travel.
Eric Harris owns 2 E's Winery in Huntington. He says the law gives Indiana a chance to be more competitive in a growing industry.
It's really a revenue stream that we've been having a difficult time tapping into, and it's because there's so many, or had been so many restrictions.
Harris also says he's not worried about minors trying to work the new system.
Typically kids or minors that are trying to get their hands on alcohol aren't ordering wine online. They've got other interests, and wine typically isn't it.
Since you have to be 21 or older to sign for the wine when it's delivered, he says the risk of it getting into the wrong hands is low. More than 40 other states have similar laws on the books.
It brings us up to par with a lot of the other states. It's another step in the right direction to make us a state where we can compete as a wine industry, not just as a state winery.
You'll have to wait a few more months before you place those orders. The law doesn't take effect until July. In Studio 15, Sarah Wagner, News Channel 15. We're here on Main Street and Grable, and as you can see, still a very, very active scene. This was the town's old grain mill, but firefighters tell me it was being used for lumber yard storage at the time. Very active flames still. The lieutenant I talked to just a few minutes ago said that this fire is nowhere near under control and will probably take a lot of time to fight. Now, there are at least 7 to 8 different departments working the scene here. They're doing several things to try and get these flames under control. They've taken out some of the lumber out of the structure. The lieutenant told me that that was really adding a lot of fuel to that fire and making it very difficult to fight. They've also torn down some of the walls of the building to try and get closer to those flames so they can have a more aggressive attack. Now, they also had to cut down power to part of the town because those power lines were so close to the building, and they were worried that that would cause a lot of danger and a lot of damage to the town. Now, when firefighters got to the scene, they said they could see massive flames shooting from the building. And the fire started around 7, but firefighters don't expect to be leaving anytime soon.
We will be here probably most of the night. It's time there's so much stacked lumber and trying to get it tore apart so we can get in there to see what we got. It'll probably just keep on burning that. So that's what we're working on now. So I'm guessing it'll probably be most of the night throughout tomorrow probably.
Now, firefighters have no idea what's caused the fire yet so far. Obviously, that investigation will take some time. The good news, though, there were no injuries reported tonight. Of course, we'll continue to have the very latest for you on WANE.com. And of course, on First News, starting at 5 a.m., still a very, very active scene out here, and they think they will be out here for most of the night and into the morning. For now, we're live in Grable. Sarah Wagner, News Channel 15. I can tell you it was a very active and crowded scene here on Main Street. That all clear given around 8:40, just about 2 hours ago. The Courthouse Green sits just a couple blocks down from Main Street Bowling, or Main Bowl bowling alley here on Main Street. So tons of people watching everything unfold as firefighters had several roads blocked off when everything was happening. Luckily, Main Bowl was closed today for Memorial Day, so no one was here when the call came in around 5:20 tonight. A man who identified himself as Mike told police dispatch that he was in the Main Bowl bowling alley. He said he'd had a fight with his girlfriend, that he'd hurt her, had a weapon with him, and he was going to possibly hurt himself and get in a shootout with police. Multiple police departments responded. You could also see officers with long guns and handguns near squad cars with their weapons pointed toward the bowling alley. SWAT and tactical officers tried to make contact with anyone who might be inside. You could hear them yelling, "Michael, this is the Indiana State Police. Come out with your hands up." No one ended up coming out, so they also sent a robot in, and that's when they found nothing or no one. Columbia City Police said they had 2 officers on staff today, which is typical, but obviously that number quickly grew to more than 50 law enforcement officers during the height of the situation. The police chief tells us it's been years since this small town has had anything like this happen.
Columbia City is a small town, so when something like this happens, this is a big deal. A lot of resources have been dumped on this scene today, and we're fortunate that at this point, the building was empty and no one's hurt. So we're glad that that's the outcome, but now we have an investigation to work.
There is an apartment above the bowling alley. 3 people had to be evacuated from there. I actually just talked to the man that lives there. He wasn't home at the time, but said police actually had to help his girlfriend and his 2 children out from the air conditioning unit. They pulled that out and pulled them out of the window to evacuate. There's also a restaurant just a couple doors down called Senor Fajitas. That also had to be evacuated. Several people from there. This case is obviously still under investigation. Police trying to trace that call, figure out who might be responsible, but aren't releasing any more details than that at this time. Of course, we'll have all the latest for you on First News starting at 5 a.m. and on WANE.com. We're live in Columbia City. Sarah Wagner, News Channel 15.